Hello, this is the Public Relations Podcast. It's a podcast about what is going on the ground in PR and strategic comms today, where we talk to the people actually doing it. We ask what is working, what is not working, what things are coming up that they've spotted in trends in PR and strategic comms, and more. I'm Richard Midson. I spent a career in strategic comms, in PR, in European politics as a news editor and a journalist in the UK, and now I also teach PR at a university. And today I'm joined by Komal Lath from Tute Consult based in Mumbai in India. And just before I introduce you, Komal, I was just going to say to everyone that if you are looking for work in PR at the moment, then we're going to record another chat with Komal in just a few moments' time where we're going to be talking about ways of getting into jobs and also how to make sure that you're prepared for it when you apply for it. But first of all, Komal, welcome back. You are a stalwart of this show. You've been on, I think, more times than anyone else, actually, because you're always such great value.
That's so sweet. It's always lovely to chat with you, Richard. I walk back or I take back so much more. And yeah, it feels good to be the one being there most. I hope that badge doesn't go to anybody
No,
else.
well, it's enough to. I'm pretty sure you are, actually. I'll have to look at the stats. But just tell people a little bit about To Consult, what you've been doing, because also we've talked about this before on the podcast, but you've kind of transformed it a little bit from the kind of straight PR, and you've reflected the way the market's changed into a more general marketing communications type thing.
Lovely. Thank you. Tute's been my agency/consultancy for the last 15 years. We started off with being a conventional PR agency, trying to fit a gap between the big and the small players. But what we have transformed into has been a very solid strategic communications agency. Like you rightly said, it's never a straight line. Messages today are non-linear, so we needed to layer up. We do strategic communication, which basically will mean that we do content, we do creators, we do IP, we do counseling, we whisper in the right ears, we write, we tell, we walk the talk, we try to.
I think that we talked about this before, is that, when someone says, what is PR? In the past, it was so easy. You just kind of said, well, mostly it's press relations. Whereas now it's, well, where do you want to start? How many hours have you got? It's really, it's like one of the things I say to students is it's now about who you're trying to communicate with and what is the best way of doing it.
That is so true. It's stakeholder management at its peak avatar, and each one wanting to see a different message being dissected.
Yeah.
But like I wrote very recently on LinkedIn, I think I was trying to explain to people, what do you do in PR? It's not press relations. Boom, I'm a very happy Campaign India carried it here, and I said it's not PR in its sense, and your version of it is.
Yeah.
And I think that got a lot of ricketing eyeballs because I got the good and the bad, but mostly the good, because a lot of people walked up and said, okay, we get it. Now, can you help us do the whole batch? I said,
Yeah.
look, it took a while for you to just get it in the face, but hey, there's hope.
Do you find that the word strategic communications works better than PR? Because it's like, sometimes I think that the word strategic communications sounds almost a bit too academic. It's not necessarily something that businesses understand. I don't know. What do you find?
No, I'm with you. Not that they understand public relations. What is slightly alarming is that a lot of people are thinking that, hey, influencer marketing or digital marketing needs to replace this function. But when a crisis hits or when something happens which is untold, the first thing they will do is, hey, we need an expert on that. Why wait till that? Hence the word stratcom, because it's not a birth of a new word. It exists, but we just needed to market ourselves better. You remember the last conversation we had was on that. I think unanimously when we are positioning ourselves as that, and it's a small step in a giant universe, it just is giving a little bit more credibility to the quantum of work a comms person does on an everyday basis. It's not that we don't have to explain PR. The questions will yet be like, okay, so what does that mean?
Yeah. This is, I know we've talked about this before, and it's just, I mean, to me, it's still public relationship building is PR, but it's at the end of the day, like any PR marketing, you have to look at what the market understands, what phrases they're using, don't they? So, listen, I always love to talk to people about a campaign that they've been working on and the kind of things that they've been seeing going on. What sort of things have you been working on recently, Komal?
I think currently we've been working with a lot of the regional markets within India. So India is how do we say it? We say India is a country, but Bharat is the Hindi word for it. is where the nooks, the crannies, the public is there. And we've been working with some of our brands, especially a color cosmetic brand, which has been in and around for over 21 years. They're going through a brand refresh. And how are we going to create an aspirational, keep them aspirational luxury, but at the same time have that person sitting in the northeast of India
Mhm.
or that little western, town wanting to buy that. So I think that's an interesting brief. And second, a menswear, not menswear, men's grooming brand from Japan, who is needing to reach out to the 16-year-olds plus. It's a very interesting brief. We've just started work on it. People in India, when they style themselves, because money is important when you're a student, you take water and you style your hair instead of gel. We got to change their behavior to be able to adapt it. So we're thinking about how we're going to do that. So that project's just begun.
That is
It's very interesting.
fascinating. That one. I mean, one of the things I always find fascinating when I'm talking to you is like you say, that you've got all these different types of markets that you've got to try and connect with, haven't you? And it's like so. So in the first example there that you've given, how have you kind of approached that? How have you said we will cover these two different markets with the same product? What do you do? Do you sit down and go, we've got that one, we've got that one? How do we target them with the same sort of
Yeah,
message?
absolutely. Absolutely. But
Mm.
we've done something very interesting this time when I'm speaking to you. There's a lovely firm, a research firm called Consumer, which is based in India, Bangalore based, very young chap. We've invested in that company. And they're a research company which will give you results in 3 hours by scraping the internet data on what's working. So we ran a search, or we will be running multiple other searches wherein we got to know where people are buying what. Basis that data is where we are now running individual campaigns in the cities. And that's where the game changer is, because you suddenly are talking about coals, but one puts it above the eye, one puts it below the eye, one likes to put it with a lipstick, one doesn't like to put it with the lipstick, the works. But now suddenly at one point, instead of running a blanket campaign which spoke to everybody, we're
Yeah, which
running
often
maybe
doesn't
6
speak to
different.
anyone because it's all trying to speak to a generic, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah. So we're
Yeah.
talking about 6 different markets in 16 different languages at the same time without needing to spend anything additional or putting more resources because it was data backed smartly. So that's just
So,
that little
but
edge.
once you've got that, so you've got your sheet where you've got your different target markets, and you've got your product. So, are you thinking separately on each one? We've got to get the messaging right for that group and that group, and how do you tailor that?
Yeah. At any point in a very honest view, not more than 30 to 35 cohorts can be reached out
That's quite a
individually
lot.
every
Yeah, yeah,
month. Yeah.
yeah.
Because you also don't want to dilute the message. You also
Yes.
want the campaign to sustain. So a little bit of AI, a little bit of data, a
Mm.
little bit of smart work, not hard work, and razor sharp focus. We've been able to do not even increasing our hours. We just templatized it very smartly and we worked it. My Excel sheets are sacrosanct to us. And
I was going to say, how much is AI? I mean, this is one thing I think we've spoken to the early days of AI when you and I have been chatting, and it's like, how have you managed to adopt it now? How are you finding it useful now?
a lot more. So if our days were very hectic as PR practitioners, when perhaps you and me started, it just to be there could be an understatement. It would just be very wired and busy, right?
Mm-hmm.
There is something being thrown in. I think AI has helped you get a little bit of semblance by being able to sort a little out and
Yes.
give you.
It's
So,
less of what I call not very nicely, but grunt work. The stuff we used to
yes,
do,
thank
which
you.
was just pushing the boring stuff that took time. Yeah.
Yeah, like a presentation today to make, which would be to present an idea, is now condensed to 30 minutes
Yeah.
because my thoughts are there
Yeah.
and I use speech to
Yep.
text
Same
to
here.
put it,
Same here. Yep.
text to presentation
Yes.
with visual.
Yes.
The entire process is 30 minutes to 1 hour, which
Yeah.
would take easy 6.5
Yeah.
hours. So things like that, the grunt work very
Mm.
nicely put. The outreach is yet manual. That means I'm having more coffees in a day, genuinely. I've been able to do that. I will credit to that. And then just to be able to speak to everybody, I think the speech to text is a game changer
Yeah.
for me personally.
Yes.
Can just speak to everybody and voice notes. My
Yeah.
goodness.
Yes.
And then WhatsApp came up with video voice notes. Hallelujah. It was the best thing ever. Yeah, Richard, next I'm going to send you a video voice note. Hey, I'm sorry I couldn't do it today, but let's do it. What a beautiful way. You're happy. I'm happy. The world's happy. And the work's getting done.
I find with AI that I mean, it still has the problems. You know, it gets it wrong at times. But what I find, I was talking to my partner earlier about this. And I was saying that the thing with it is that it gets sort of 80% of the stuff done. And the 20% it gets wrong, it triggers you enough to go, hang on, I don't like that, but I could do that. And it's actually quite a
Yeah.
useful, you know, it's almost like us talking now. You bounce ideas off it. So,
Yeah.
you know, we may not agree on something, but it'll help us think something through. And I find that
Yeah.
so useful.
I agree. It just gives you a different dimension to ideation, which you perhaps not. I yet believe research should be sacrosanct, but there are tools available that you can like use 2 or 3 different ways to condense data. I've been using Notebook quite often to be able to listen to the research data as a podcast. So my commute time actually has become smarter on it.
Right.
And when I go to a meeting, I'm well more informed than even the executives of the chairman I'm meeting a lot of
That
times.
is,
And that's happened.
so you're taking the research, I can't remember what it's called. Did you say
Notebook.
LM or something like
Yeah.
that, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah. It's a part of the Google
Yes,
suite.
that's it. I've used it before. So you turn that into a podcast. That's a brilliant. I love that. I'm going to use that.
Yeah. And it's 3 words on research, converts to podcast. I'm hearing it on my way to the meeting. I'm absolutely spot on my research before I walk in. And I know what I have to do because that part AI can't do. That has to be the individual
Yes.
experience. And
Yeah,
the
reading the room in
technique
real time.
cannot be AI.
But that's interesting because
Yeah.
the LM notebook thing is it converts it into a way that you can process it more easily as well, doesn't it? It's like one of the things I find with like
Absolutely.
academic texts. They're so heavy, and you just kind of want someone at some time to speak to you in just plain English. And it's exactly the same
Yeah.
thing. That's a really interesting one. Listen, we're running out of time, so very quickly, anything else you've spotted in running this campaign of something that has changed or something new that you're seeing?
People are liking long format, surprisingly. I was of the opinion that bite-sized videos is what gets the game going. But in the color cosmetics brand campaign that we're running, what we find fascinating is 13-year-olds to 15-year-olds are watching 30-minute videos on how to apply makeup and in different languages. And then they're going ahead and making purchases. For me, that was fascinating. I always thought Instagram, 3-minute videos, 30
Yes.
seconds. No, 30 minutes. They are in rapt attention, trying it as they speak. And so that's been an interesting observation that long format is also coming back. Depends on the content and who's delivering it. And raw, like how we almost wanted perfect things when we did not have AI.
Yeah.
I think a little bit of imperfect is what people are looking else to say, hey, that's a deep fake. Hey, I think that's not real because it doesn't have flaws. So the game's changed a bit there.
Yeah.
So I find that fascinating.
That is really interesting, isn't it? Is it you do think it is fast, but I mean, this is the other thing again, though, is that the data is showing this stuff now, isn't it? We're not having to just guess things, and also when you come up with your own assumption that this can't work, well, the data's there to show it, and that's
Yeah,
so
that is
useful now.
a lot of it. What we find it fascinating in India also, because suddenly in India, we are the biggest population in the world. We are also one of the growing countries economy-wise. So with that, a lot of the international companies are looking inwards to us. Given that kind of inward interest in everything, suddenly everyone's become very savvy about the internet. You will have my parents, for example, or 65 years and 70 years old, quoting things from the WhatsApp University or the Instagram University. So, different languages, different things for different people. Not everything data driven. Even just plain old PR packages have gone through a massive shift. Last 1 year has been exciting.
It is fascinating. It's always fascinating talking to you, Komal. We are going to chat in just a few moments' time for the other podcast about getting a job in PR. So if you're doing that, about to enter the industry or wanting to change perhaps from something else to get into PR, we're going to talk about that in a second. But Komal, just remind people, if they're leaving us here, how they can get hold of you or find out more about you or anything like that.
The best way to reach me is to watch Richard's podcast and then reach out to me on LinkedIn. It goes by the name LinkedIn /Komal, KOMAL, LATH, or find me on my website through my business ID, which is www.tute.co.in.
And if you didn't get it all down, I will put it in the show notes anyway. So that's fine. Come on, always a pleasure. Speak to you again soon. Well, we'll speak to you again in a second, actually.